Hello, Thrivers. Heather here. How are you doing today? I'm coming here with our third live stream, our third live training for this week, as we've been going deep into our divorce cure method to slow down and stop a divorce. If you remember the first day there on, what was it? Oh my goodness, going back all the way to Wednesday. It feels like a long time ago already. We were talking about how to open up communication, how to increase understanding, even if communication is tense right now, even if they're closed off, even if they're completely resistant to talking about anything kind of deeper than surface level things. And we talked about that really crucial mindset shift, that kind of energetic shift of going from a place of fear and desperation to ease, of trying to force a situation versus being detached from it, of that panic and that fear mode versus having that state of inner calm. And that when we get to that place, not only does everything change for us because we're now like the calm in the storm, but that our spouse senses that as well. And that allows them to feel safe to open up to us again and open up to us fully and open up to us freely to be able to have good, meaningful conversations. Hi, I can see some of you joining. Awesome. Can you see and hear me okay? I am assuming so, but I always want to make sure. So I'd really love to hear what have been your biggest aha moments so far. I know that several of you, including Haley, were talking about the golden question and how that question caused their spouse to pause and allowed to have some deeper conversations go on. And then I know some of you have joined our early bird list for our divorce cure course that is opening tomorrow. Early bird open today. And so some of you got those 7 proven conversation starters and are already trying those on. So what has your experience been for that? I know it's brand new. I know that you're just starting out and it's definitely a journey. However, what we've seen with this kind of conversation starters and having this kind of communication is really powerful conversations that happen, whereas they didn't happen before, right? And so then yesterday we talked about the importance of uncovering your spouse's reasons for leaving so that you can know why are they really leaving, and not like Mike. I gave the example of our client Mike, right? Who thought he knew his wife's reasons for leaving, which was that he thought that she was having an affair. But when we really uncovered what the reasons were, it wasn't an affair at all. It was actually his mistrust of her. And so him being in that fear mode, right? We talk about the fear and the tension, the desperation, that pushes someone away, because when you're with that kind of a person and that's what's going on, we feel like instinctively we need to distance ourselves so that we're safe. Whereas contrast that with someone that Mike became as he worked on those fears. He worked on those kind of internal beliefs that were driving that whole engine, right? We talked about the symptoms versus the root causes, and made the analogy with the rotten fruit, right? That was his rotten fruit, was he thought there was an affair, but what was actually causing that was deep insecurity within himself, the belief that he wasn't good enough. And because he wasn't good enough, she was going to leave him for someone else. So he created this entire story that then led to her wanting to leave, not because of an affair, but because of his mistrust that was being driven by that internal fear. And we helped him shift out of that fear mode into a state of calm and certainty and truth. When he operated from that state, then she was able to then change her story about him, that he was mistrusting of her. And she learned, oh, wow, he's actually trusting of me now. And the entire root issue was solved, so that then they could get to the point that we're going to talk about today, which is buying time to stop the divorce. Awesome. All right, so comments here. I always want to make this a discussion, a dialogue here with you, and not just a monologue. I want to know where you're at, what your challenges are, where you want your marriage to be, right? And any of the things that might be going on with you, so that we can get fast solutions to that. So I see this. I'm hoping to have a conversation tomorrow morning. Awesome. So apply those conversation starters. Make that internal shift like we talked about 2 days ago to be able to get to that place where you just show understanding. I just want to understand you. No agenda, no expectation, no fear, no clench mode. I just genuinely want to understand you because I care about you. And that will increase that understanding and open that door of communication for you. And that's exactly what this entire course is designed to do if you're in the process of divorce, and especially to get that communication going, because that's always our first milestone. Once you have that, then you're able to uncover why they're wanting to leave, why they want a divorce, what the real root issues are, and not the symptoms. It's not the things they're saying. I can guarantee you that it's not the things they're saying. Those are the surface level things. And we always hide behind what we feel is safe or what's going to be most effective to get us what we want. But the reality is that there's something deeper going on. And so that's what we help you do. So now we get to the point, okay? Layer by layer. If you haven't watched the first 2 trainings, go back and watch those, because I want to make sure we solve problems in order. And I really don't want to see any comments here, but I can't even talk to him, sad emoji face. I get those a lot. And I'm like, okay, I understand that that's a challenge. Go to the training that fits that, because this is the next step. It's going to build upon it. So if communication is a challenge, you don't know why they're leaving, go back and watch the other ones, please. And then we'll be able to get to this next step, which is buying time to stop the divorce. I'm going to go over here to my slides. Awesome. And hello, everyone. I see you all. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go, no, not that, solo. Here we go. Okay. Can you see this okay? Buy time to stop the divorce. I'm going into this. Okay, come on. There we go. All right, so I want to go here to Mike. This is actually a different Mike. Yesterday was Mike, and then here's another Mike. I mean, Mark and I, we've coached, thousands of couples now to help them save their marriages. Mark Johnston is literally the most sought after marriage expert in the world, and we are one of the fastest online growing marriage resources out there, online programs out there, which is amazing. So we have several clients by the same name. So this is a different Mike, okay? Here's Mike. For 8 months, I was trying to make changes. How long have you been trying to make changes in your relationship, right? For 8 months, I was trying to make changes to show Cammie that I was a new person. I did everything I could think of, and nothing seemed to make much difference. Talk about frustrating, until I used your method and finally helped her to change her story about me. It was, well, just like what you said. Now she sees the changes I've made, and our hope for the future is rising. It's working. So can you relate to this? Like, you're working really hard for a long time, doing everything you can think of to make positive changes, but it's not making a difference. And you feel frustrated, and you feel overwhelmed, and you feel exhausted, and you feel like you're running out of time. Then, like, this is such a common thing that I hear. Yeah, here's a comment that this has been going on for 3 years. Oh my goodness, we need to get you some major momentum there, my friend, because 3 years is 3 years way, way too long. And this method helps you get there way faster because it's effective. So instead of wasting years in therapy or wasting years trying to make positive changes, you're able to do it in a much shorter and more effective time frame, and the changes last long term. Okay. All right. So then he was making these changes, but she couldn't see it, right? But now that that he was able to help uncover her story and change her story, she actually is seeing the changes I've made. Because one of the most common things I hear is like, I'm making all these positive changes, but they don't see it, or they don't believe it's real, or they don't believe it's going to stick, or that if I drop the divorce, it's going to go back to the way that it was. And they see it more as like a manipulation tactic, that these changes aren't real, or they just don't see them at all. Like, they're so blinded by their own story that they actually don't even recognize the changes. And if they recognize them, then they're doubtful about them. So there's a really big shift that needs to happen right here, where we actually show our spouse, our husband, or our wife, this is me. This is who I really am now. And these positive changes I'm making, I'm so grateful that you showed me what I needed to do. I mean, this has been one of the hardest experiences of my life, but it's been one of the best experiences of my life, because I'm finally understanding what I didn't know before. I'm finally realizing the mistakes I made. I'm finally learning the skills that honestly I didn't have before. I didn't know how to show you understanding. I didn't know how to process through my own emotions. I didn't even know who I really was. In fact, I was living a story that was completely false. I picked up on it since I was a child, or I picked up on it recently, and I've been operating from that place of a really limiting belief about myself, and it's not true. And now I am uncovering who I really am, that I am worthy of love, that I am capable, that I don't fear failure. In fact, I embrace failure, that I am good enough, that I am intelligent, that I am trustworthy, that I can forgive myself. And now I'm making these changes for me. And I'm making them regardless of what actually happens in our relationship. So I can view this whole thing as actually a really beautiful experience, even though it's been really challenging, because it's helping me become who I want to be. And when you come at it from that kind of a place, they will see that the changes are real. There's no way that they can't see it at that point. Well, they still could. They still have their own choice, right? But it's much more likely that they will absolutely see these positive changes and that you're making them for the right reasons for yourself, right? All right, I'm going to hear the comments here. My husband notices my changes but doesn't see it lasting if he were to come home. So do you see exactly that's what I'm talking about, is that fear and that skepticism that he sees these positive changes. And so there's this opportunity that you have right now where you can show your husband that they're actually genuine and real and true. And that's what our method is designed to do, because we have to bridge that gap, right? Right now it's like this gap. And you're working so hard and you're probably getting a little exhausted, a little burnt out. And you're like, kind of like, come on, just give me a break. I'm really working here. I really want this. But it's a little bit of a shift that needs to happen. And that's what we can guide you on exactly how to do so that this bridge can be crossed. Does that make sense? Did you need to hear that today? Did you want to know that that is possible and that it can happen for you? That your husband, in this instance with this comment, or your wife, can see that these changes are real, that they can actually embrace them, that they can feel safe with them, and that above all, you're making them for the right reasons. Does that make sense? Who needed to hear that today? Here, I did. Awesome. Let's keep going. So we've proven time and time again, after working with thousands of couples that are just like you and going through this myself, you know, in the hardest moments of my marriage and the hardest moments of Mark's marriage, and what it really takes to be able to restore the relationship in the right way. Awesome. I'm hearing yes, yes, exclamation mark, beautiful. But we will be proven, and this is just based on hundreds of thousands of hours and investing so much time and money and energy, dedicating our lives to understanding what it really takes, that we have proven that if we can slow down the process of divorce, and gain 6 months of time, the opportunity to get our husband or our wife to fall back in love with us, to stop the divorce, to come back home, to get engaged again in working on the relationship, it greatly increases. You know, last week we did that interview with Dwayne, and you remember that his wife was completely checked out just a few months ago. And in March, she agreed, I'm going to put my wedding ring back on and I'm committed to working on this relationship. And they're working on it. And it's beautiful to see that. And so what he did was this exact process here of increasing understanding. You remember that he talked about removing the expectation, which has been a huge theme I've been drilling in on you guys this week, because it's so crucial. And I want you to succeed and I want you to have peace of mind. In my hardest, darkest moments, I knew how much I craved that. I craved that light. I craved that relief. I craved that sense of I'm in the midst of a freaking hurricane, but I'm serene. I can do this. I am stronger than any challenge. That's why I'm sharing this with you. And that's why I'm drilling it, because I really want to help you get there, because it's worth everything to be able to get to that place, right? And so going back to Dwayne, he got to this place where he increased that understanding. He removed the expectations. He stopped doing the pushing behaviors. And she started to respond to the point where he was able to ask her to stop the divorce, to slow down the divorce, and to give them time. And now they're in that process of they have the time now and they are fully restoring the relationship. She is opening up her heart more and more, and it's a process. It takes time, right? That law of gestation, not digestion, like my husband thought. Oh, so funny. He thought I was like, so do you poop more? Like, no, it's not digestion. Gestation, right? It's laying the groundwork, making the soil fertile, increasing the understanding, planting the seeds, nurturing the seeds, allowing them the time that it takes to grow, and nurturing and nourishing them consistently over time. Yes, awesome. All right, I'm going to go to that comment here in just a little bit. I'm going to share another story here with Chris. So yesterday we talked about how Mike thought that his wife was having an affair, but this is not the same. This is Chris's wife was having an affair. 100% fully came out, right? I am having an affair. And she told Chris that the marriage was over when it was found out. And then she promptly moved out soon after. Over the next several months, Chris, like many of you, began making big changes in his life. He adjusted his schedule so he could be at home with the kids more. He became less angry. He learned those emotional processing techniques that I am so animate on because they're game changing. You know, if your emotions are ruling you, they're game changing. Anyway, he went back. He asked more questions, like those 24 proven conversation starters that we have as part of this method. He was more supportive of her. He stopped blowing up when talking about problems, right? He increased that understanding. His wife, like many of you just mentioned here, I see your comments, started noticing the changes. The thing is, just like your spouses, she did not immediately come back to the marriage. It took her new relationship blowing up, right? Because relationships that start with affairs don't last. Because why? They're not built on a strong, solid, healthy foundation for a good relationship. They're built on false principles. They're built on mistrust, dishonorship, right? From the beginning. And they're built on needs being met that aren't met in the right, healthy, proper ways. So the entire thing is built on a shaky foundation. It won't last. So that relationship blew up with her affair partner, right? And that took that happening before she began to realize that her husband actually had been a great source of support, even though she had hurt him. Okay. So Chris made changes and was consistent for months before his wife turned around and began to consider working on things. This is a long haul, guys. It is not a quick fix. It is that law of gestation. And so you need to get that. All right, question. What if you didn't have a strong foundation from the beginning? Beautiful question. And you're in this relationship and you want it to work. The good news is it's never too late to build up those foundations. And that's exactly what we teach you how to do. You obviously have one or two of them really strong. Otherwise, you would never have had a relationship to begin with. But if one of them or two of them or even more may have been missing, then you're going to really struggle. And this is where we see relationships really struggle. And so being able to identify what that missing element is, building that up, you can have the strong foundation, even if it wasn't there to begin with. We can show you how you can get there. It is absolutely possible. Okay, going back here. So Chris's wife, she was initially wanting a divorce, but by slowing that process down, slowing it down, and getting her to back off from the idea, it bought him time to make a difference. We call this buying time. No, you can't swipe your credit card and say, yes, I want to buy some time at the store, right? But essentially, it's the same idea. It's being able to get your spouse to agree to give you some time. And when you have the proper understanding that we talked about and the open communication, and you know what the root issues are, you've already gone through those initial milestones, then it makes sense to do this. And we guide you on how to have that conversation. When is the right time to have that conversation, right? You don't want to do it too early. You don't want to do it too late. That's why you need, this method and the guidance from the outside, from the experts that know how and when is the right time to do it, right? So that's exactly what we do. And that's exactly what Chris did here. So I want you to ask yourself, do I want to buy 6 months of time so I can have my spouse fall back in love with me, so they can agree to slow down the divorce, right? Hi, Kimberly. I love you. You're awesome. You're such a rock star. That's so great. We're going to get back to you in a little bit. But do you want to get to that place where you can cuddle on the couch again? I love cuddling on the couch with Ben. It's like my favorite thing. I crave it more than ice cream, which is saying a lot, like more than chocolate. And I'm going on a nutritional cleanse right now, so I'm really craving those things. I absolutely love just being in his arms and having nothing to do, right? Having fun doing nothing at all. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We're just so happy to be with each other, to relax with each other, flirt, kiss, play, right? Have late night talks, laughing again. Imagine bringing laughter back into your home, back into your heart, back into your relationship. How good would that feel? Do you want to get there? Absolutely. Yes. And being consistent, Kimberly. Absolutely. And so what the Divorce Cure does, unlike any other program, is it paves the foundation. We talked about how important it is to have that foundation. And if one or two of those elements are missing, then we want to strengthen that area for you, for your unique marriage. I call it your marriage thumbprint, your marriage fingerprint. No other couple is exactly like you too. And so we need to know exactly how to help you with whatever might be missing and where your strong points are to get you going forward quickly, right? And get your spouse to agree to give you 6 months of time so you can have a happy ending to your love story. I want a happy ending to my love story. That doesn't mean there isn't going to be challenges and comedic relief and all the different elements of a really great story, but that the ending is happy. In fact, I believe there's no ending to these relationships. I do believe that they are eternal and that they are sacred and that they are worth it. And I want to know that even in the hardest times that we are unified and strong together to face and weather any storm so that we can have enduring joy, enduring happiness, right? So imagine how great it will be for your spouse to throw away the divorce papers like Chris's wife did. She marched over to him and threw them in the trash. Awesome. So excited for the new program. That is exactly where I am. Awesome. All right. What if they're a narcissist? I will do a live stream on that another time. That's a buzzword. We want to be really, really careful with our labels. Honestly, narcissism means selfishness. We're all selfish. Okay, unless they're clinically diagnosed, then I don't actually want to hear that word. I know it might be rubbing some of you the wrong way, but it's really about increasing understanding and understanding that their selfishness is being driven by needs not being met, and that our own selfishness gets in the way as well. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole too much, but I really want you to know that increasing understanding and getting to a good centered place within yourself is what allows for healing to occur. And it's worth it. And it's beautiful. And it's incredible. All right. The healing is amazing. And obviously, like Tim, his wife putting the wedding ring back on. How good would that feel if your spouse has taken off their wedding ring, if they say, I'm in love with someone else, I am done with this relationship, I am not coming back, the divorce is final, I'm taking the kids, any of those things, that you can go through this process and have things turn around as you get them to agree to give you the time that it takes for that law of gestation to play out to get there. And stop the affair like Leah's husband did. You guys know Leah here in the group, right? She shared her story. We've done an interview with her, and she talks about how her husband a year ago was leaving her for another woman. And literally, they're celebrating their son's first birthday this week. And we are so happy for them and celebrating that turnaround and the complete transformation that Leah went on through her own mindset and her own life and her own marriage. And now they're truly being happier and healthier and stronger than ever before. She says, we are happier and better than ever before, even before the affair happened, because those things that they were weak on, those missing elements in their foundation, were what led up to their challenges. And so now that they've resolved those root issues and strengthened that foundation, like you mentioned earlier, what if it's not built on a healthy foundation? Or what if you've deteriorated into an unhealthy place? Well, that's exactly what this is designed to do. That's exactly what this method that we have helps you to do, so that you can be like Leah, have them leave whoever they're thinking that they're in love with and want to spend the rest of their lives with, and be whole and secure and celebrating their son's birthday together. It's so, so beautiful. So our live divorce cure, it opens tomorrow. I'm so excited for this. We just absolutely poured our prayers and our entire intention into how can we serve you best. And we understand that those that are in the divorce process, they do not have time to turn things around. And we wanted to give you a program specifically designed for those in the divorce process. If that's not you, if you're just struggling, then there are other programs like Path or Relationship Reboot or our coaching that would be a good fit for you. But this is not. This is for those in the divorce process only, because it takes a very specific approach to turn these situations around quickly. It's kind of like the difference if I just had a skin, cancer on my face that could easily be cut out and removed versus the deep inner tumor that I had in my breast that was threatening my life and my baby's life, right? It needed a much more intense, vigorous approach. And I needed to go to the right experts that could show me exactly how to navigate through those challenges successfully, because they've done it so many times before and they have the proven solutions and they know exactly what needs to happen and when it needs to happen so that I can be okay and I can get through this and have the result that I want, right? So there are only 100 spots. Why? I've been asked this, why are there only 100 spots, right? We have 110,000 people in our email list. We have 19,000 people who are in this group. It's growing all the time. So why only 100? Well, because we are doing this live and we want to be able to offer the best value possible. And we're doing one-on-one coaching check-in calls with you where you have a real marriage expert calling you, checking in with you, making sure that you're able to apply the principles, making sure that you're hitting the milestones, right? And that you are progressing to ensure that you're getting the best results possible. So unless divorce has been filed, this is not the right spot. Right, no, unless your spouse is saying, I want a divorce, I'm completely done. It doesn't mean that divorce has to be filed, although this is absolutely true if it has been filed, but it's more like you are on the cusp of a divorce. Your spouse says, I want a divorce, I'm completely out, I'm in love with someone else, I am done with this relationship, right? That's kind of what this is for. It's the most intense situation that you could have in your relationship, and it needs the most intense method to solve it. So if there is not that kind of talk yet, it's maybe more tension or even separation to some degree, then a better one would be our live Path course or the Relationship Reboot course. Much better for those kind of situations. So, okay, yes, I'm in. I love it. Very cool. So in addition to the actual course, what we really wanted to include was the 24 conversation starters and the vault of communication coaching. Like I said, communication and opening that is the biggest milestone and the most important element of this entire thing. And so we want to make sure that we're able to open up that communication and get that going right away. So that's why we focus on that communication. I'm back. Hello. It's kind of startling when my face suddenly shows up right in front of me. Anyway, so we did open the doors for the early bird. So if you're in the early bird list, we had over 300 people join the early bird list, and there's only 100 spots. So if you're in the early bird and you know that you opted in, go check your inbox because I sent it about 2 hours ago. And if you don't see it in your inbox, be sure to check your promotions and sometimes even the spam folder, because you never know what our different email things do, how they sift and sort the emails. So just make sure you look out for that today if you join the early bird list. If you did not, then make sure you watch out for tomorrow when I announce that the doors are open. You'll see a post here in the Facebook group. I'll send out a post and I'll let you guys know the doors are open and you can join right away. But above all, my friends, I just really want you to sink into the biggest aha moments that you had in this, that it is possible to slow down and stop the process of divorce. It is possible. It's not uncommon for us to hear from people that are in this that all their friends are saying, you just need to let them go. Oftentimes, even their therapist is saying, it's over. You need to move on. And, honestly, Mark Johnson has shared that once his church leader, his pastor said to his wife secretly, you probably just need to have a divorce. You probably just need to end this. And that was completely false. Obviously, Mark Johnson and his wife are doing fabulous. Not that they didn't go through their challenges, but those challenges is what helped him to learn and to grow and to create this incredible movement that we have now of saving marriages and saving relationships. You might feel alone. You might feel like, maybe it is time to just move on. Maybe it is too little too late. Maybe it does take two to tango. However, I really encourage you to seek out those that have gone through this program already and those that have successfully restored their marriage and know that it is possible. 95% of marriages can and should be saved, at least for no other reason than knowing that I gave it my all. I was willing to learn what I needed to learn. I didn't go out of this a quitter. I did not go out of this a quitter. I fought, and I fought for myself and for my family and for my children, for the generations that are going to come after us, but above all, so that I could have peace of mind, security inside myself, that I did what I needed to do, and I can live with peace of mind about the rest. I let go of the outcomes. I detach from the outcomes, and there I find my peace, I find my strength, and I become who I'm really meant to be. And that's worth it at the end of the day, regardless of the outcome. It's knowing that on our last day, we can look back and say, I became who I needed to be. And this challenge was one of the hardest I've ever gone through, but it's one of the best because it enabled me to wake up. It enabled me to grow. It enabled me to learn some new things and to become the better version of myself. So that is my prayer for you, my friends, and my heart, my love, my appreciation goes out to you. I hope you have a fabulous day, and we will see you tomorrow for the launch of our live divorce cure course. If you are one of those 100 people that are in the course, then I cannot wait to see you there. But above all, I appreciate you, and I truly want to see your marriage thrive.